Hey everybody, Erica Serwin here from Pink Bucker Designs. This week I'm working on Christmas cards over on my blog, and I am using this Words of Cheer bundle. This is a great bundle you can find in the 2021 Stampin' Up! Holiday Catalog, otherwise known as the Stampin' Up! August to December 2021 catalog. It's a mouthful, so I just call it the holiday catalog. It comes as a bundle, which means when you buy them together, you actually save 10%. It has these great word dies. I always love word dies, and this great image that not only can you just stamp on the background, but it also has the matching die to cut it out. For this card, I'm going to stamp on crumb cake cardstock. And all right, I'm going to stamp this image in Sahara Sand ink. It's lighter than crumb cake. And I'm going to stamp it first up here in the corner. The whole image. It's hanging off just a little bit. And then I'm going to ink it again. And I'm going to come down here and I'm just going to get that flower there in the corner like that. Okay. Now we're going to color. I'm going to pull up my chair because I color much better when I am sitting down. I don't know about you guys. All right, I am going to start with light real red. And I'm going to start with my flowers, and I'm just going to kind of give them a full coat of color. You'll see that when you are coloring with your Stampin' Blends on cardstock that is not basic white, it behaves differently. It kind of spreads out. It kind of fills in. I'm not sure how to really explain it, but once you give it a try, you'll see what I'm talking about. So I'm going to do all these back leaves first, coloring them in with that light real red. Okay, then I'm going to come in with my dark real red, and I'm going to add in some dark behind these leaves right here, or these petals. Now, I'm not sure if you can see on the camera, but when this color, after it kind of settles a little bit, the Sahara Sand ink pops back out, and you can kind of see it. It kind of blends in a little bit with the color at first, but then it pops out and it looks really nice. So I am taking my light real red again and just kind of blending that dark color out. Now I'm going to come over here and add in color here to the middle with my light, because I want it to be the lightest on the top. All right, so now let's do the same thing with the other flowers. Your Stampin' Blend has two ends. One is the bullet end, which is the end that I'm using, and the other end is the brush tip end. I prefer to use the brush tip end when I have big areas to color in. This area is obviously pretty small, and I feel like I'm going to have much better control here if I use my bullet end. All right, so again, I'm coloring in, and I am trying to stay within the lines of the stamped image. I'm not coloring, I'm not just going all over. I'm trying to stay within those lines to give it a little bit more definition. The ink will show through, but I just find that if I stay within those lines, it just really kind of keeps that definition and adds a little more depth. Now, I'm not sure if these are poinsettias or what kind of flower they are. I've seen some people coloring this middle part in yellow, so you might want to do that. I'm just keeping it simple because this isn't really my focal point. My focal point of my card is going to be those die cut words. So I'm not terribly worried about the details. Okay, so I'm going to continue to color the flowers. As I speed up, I'm going to start getting messier with my coloring. And it's hard to keep my head out from sticking out of underneath the camera. Okay, there we go. Now, I will finish this in a minute, but I want to show you guys everything else, and then I'll speed up the video. I'm going to take my light, soft succulent. There's several different kind of branches here. I don't know what they're called, but the one that has these open leaves, I'm doing in light soft succulent. Soft succulent is one of our current in colors, which means it'll only be around for 2 years. This is the first year, and it's a really pretty soft green. If you're a green person, you will like this green. Okay, so color in all those little branches, those little leaves. Okay, and then I'm going to use dark soft succulent to do these holly leaves because they're a little bit darker. And I'm not going to add a whole lot of shading here because it's kind of hard to shade when you're using colored cardstock. It can be done, as you saw with the flower, but with these, I don't really think we necessarily need to do that. Okay, I think we got all those holly leaves. Now I'm going to come back with my light soft succulent, and these branches right here, I'm going to outline them with soft succulent. All right, and then last but not least, let's do those berries in dark real red. All right, now I am going to finish this up. Oh, I can see I forgot some leaves and branches over here. I'm going to speed up the video and finish up the other side, and then come back, and I forgot a petal there as well. And then I'll come back and finish the card with you.
Look at how far we've traveled. Look at how much we've done. Truth is, one person can matter. Just look what ideas can become. The journey to our destination is what we remember today. Go celebrate.
Okay, I think we're done coloring. One last thing I'm going to do is take my dark soft succulent, and I'm going to flick some color on here just for a little more interest. Okay. All right, we can move that grid paper over, and we're going to do a couple of things with our cut and emboss machine. We're going to cut out, let's see, let me get all of my pieces. We're going to cut out these 2 dies. One is the bottom layer, that's this one, and that's going to go on our darker evening evergreen. And then the top layer we're going to put on soft succulent, and I'm actually going to put an adhesive sheet behind the soft succulent so that when I cut this out, it will then be a sticker, and it'll just be really easy to put onto our other word. Sorry, I can't think and do things at the same time today. I'm going to cut off that extra so it doesn't put sticky in our machine. Okay, so we put adhesive sheet on the back. We're going to cut that out. The other thing we're going to do is emboss our stamped piece with the Tasteful Textiles embossing folder. All right, let's bring the cut and emboss machine over. And I think we'll do our die cutting first. We can do these together at the same time. There's one. And let's make sure we've got that centered on the sticker. There's 2. And we're just going to run it through. I like to kind of go through twice for good measure. Okay. There we go. There we go. We're going to have to get that one out. Let's see if it'll pop out. Yeah, there we go. All right, now we're going to take off the top 3 plates for our embossing folder. I'm going to put this in here, making sure that it lines up with that line right there. I'm going to put that down on plate 1. And then this is plate 4. And we'll run it through. And this just really adds texture to your cardstock, makes it look like a textured piece of cardstock. All right, and I also want you to notice too how I said that once that ink kind of settles, the stamped image ink will pop out, and you can see that right there. It really does do that after you give it a couple of minutes to kind of settle into the cardstock. All right, let's see how we did. We're going to peel this off. Remember, we've got a sticker here. And hardest part is getting it started. Sometimes I try to do 2 strips of adhesive on a word. That way I have a line where the adhesive sheets meet, and then I can peel them off easier. I didn't do that this time. All right, be real careful not to tear. All right, and I'm going to start right here with my H. Make sure it's centered. Okay, and I'm going to lay these down. I'm not going to press them down too hard yet until I get to the end and make sure everything lined up as it should. Sometimes we have to realign, but I think we're good here. Yep, that looks great. Okay, so we've got those 2 things. Now we're just going to stamp the word Christmas on a skinny piece of white cardstock. And if you're worried about getting it lined up, you can stamp it on a larger sheet and then trim it out, which I'm going to end up needing to do anyway. I think I'll just use my scissors for this. But if you want to make sure that it's nice and straight, use your trimmer. Okay, and you want it just the size of the word. That's it. All right, so let's put some dimensionals on the back of this. This is pretty skinny, so we're going to need many dimensionals. Whoops. Which fit nicely, if I can pick them up. Okay. I think maybe 4 will be good, or maybe 5. You could put 5 on there, but I'll just do 4. All right, we're going to put that right there. Isn't that pretty? Let's put a little bit lower so we can see that flower. Happy. And then 2 more dimensionals. And Christmas. Okay, let's mat it on a piece of Evening Evergreen. That is just 1/8 of an inch bigger, or maybe I did 1/4 of an inch. Yeah, this one's 1/4 of an inch all the way around. And then I've got an Evening Evergreen card base. And we're going to need regular size dimensionals here. We'll do 4. Okay, and mat that, or place that right there, centered it. And I've got a piece of basic white to put on the inside. One thing you can do is take your image and just kind of stamp it in the corner to carry over that image. You can color it, or you could just leave it that Sahara sand color, so it'll be nice and subtle. All right, lastly, let's add a few gems to our card. Let's make it a little bit fancy. These are our Real Red rhinestones, and I'm using my Take Your Pick tool to just scoop them up. I'm using that putty end, which works really well. Let's see, I think I'm going to do one more. Let's do one right about there. All right, and there you have it, a beautiful Christmas card. If you like to color with Stampin' Blends, this is a great set for that. You could also use your watercolor pencils, or even your water painter to watercolor it. All right, click the link here on YouTube to go back to my blog. There are 2 other projects that use the words of cheer, and there's a free PDF that has the measurements and the supply list. All right, everybody, thanks so much. Merry Christmas.